Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating young woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Hello, Gertrude. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here. I really appreciate the way you elevate women's stories in the world, and truly it's an honor. My name is Sarah May, and today I am coming to you from my home on wheels. So I live in a van that I built out with my husband back in 2020 before he was my husband. So spoiler alert, it does end well, but we have been nomadic for the past 5 years. So at the beginning of COVID, I lost my job and had always wanted to be nomadic and live in a van. And so we decided to pool our savings and buy an empty landscaping van, and we built it out ourselves over the course of 2 months and set out on the road. So it's been an incredible adventure and I love it. I love being nomadic and being on the road and being in these gorgeous places. So right now I'm in Moab, Utah, but originally I'm from California. So I'll tell you a little bit about my background. So I was born in 1990. I am from a large family. I have 6 brothers and 1 sister. So not so common in the United States these days, but I loved it. Growing up in a big family was constant chaos and constant fun. I mean, there was just always someone to be with, to play with, something to do. And I really, I have such special memories growing up in a big family. 6 brothers, 1 sister. My parents are high school sweethearts who are still married. So my mom was 14, my dad was 15, and they've been on quite a journey themselves through love and marriage and raising a family. So that's a little bit about me. I grew up in the foothills of the Sierra Nevadas, beautiful little mountain town where we would get a week off for ski week every winter. And in the summer, there would be lakes and camping and hiking, which definitely contributed to my love of the outdoors and adventure and keeping up with my brothers, because anything they did, I had to do too. So yes, definitely from an early age, a love for travel, adventure, and just the beauty, natural beauty around us and experiencing it. So I was raised conservative Christian. My parents were very, very conservative growing up. Church multiple times a week. I even went to a very religious evangelical college for undergrad, which was quite an interesting experience. And I would say I was very sheltered. I never really questioned those beliefs that I was raised with, and grew up in a very small town, very white town, very rural. And so leaving and going to college was a huge experience in and of itself. I also started traveling very young. My parents are also adventurous. And so when I was 16, I backpacked around Europe by myself. And then when I was 19, I got the opportunity to study abroad in Cyprus. And from there, I backpacked around the Middle East. I ended up in Israel and Jordan, and I worked at a refugee camp for about a month in Palestine, in the West Bank, So that was an incredibly formative experience, and really shook my foundation, and shook my concepts of privilege and responsibility. And so that was a huge eye-opening experience for me. Um, and it kind of led me to a dark period in my life where I was very vulnerable. And I think as a 19-year-old girl, kind of looking to be saved. And it was at that time that I met my husband. So we had actually gone to high school together, but we were just friends. And at that vulnerable time in my life, we really reconnected. And he seemed to get me and to value me and respect me. And it was kind of a fast and furious, long distance love affair that really, in the course of 6 months, through letters and phone calls, we became a couple without ever being in the same room together. It was just a lot of emotional intensity. And so I was very young. I was just a baby, 19 years old. And we ended up getting married very young. So right after graduation, I was 21 years old. He was also just 21. So like I mentioned, we had gone to high school together. So there's, shared commonalities, small town. And so he was safe. He was familiar to me. Long story short, over the course of 2 years, our marriage really imploded. He was deployed. He was in the military. And that was the first time that he had an affair, which for me was obliterating. And I really didn't know if I would overcome that time. It was so devastatingly painful that I actually ended up on the floor with a gun in my hand, questioning, if I didn't have him, then what was I supposed to do with the rest of my life? I had really put all my power and all my agency in this relationship that really didn't serve and was actually deeply harmful and dysfunctional. And so he came home a few weeks later, continued the affair. I tried to make it work until it became very clear that he just wasn't willing to make the marriage work. So I realized, okay, I need to tell him our marriage is over. And the universe has a funny way of sometimes ripping out our rug beneath us even more. The next day, he was in a helicopter crash and almost died. There were 3 crewmen who did die, and I had to nurse my husband back to health. And just like that, it was like his eyes were opened. He was apologetic. He would do anything to rebuild trust. He was sorry. I heard all the things I had been dying to hear. And it was like hope. Here he is, the man I married. And it began a dark period of mental health instability for him. And then came addiction to alcohol and pain meds, and then eventually another affair. And that ended very traumatically, where I realized I had to leave in order to save my life at that point. It was physically harmful for me to stay in that relationship. So I left at 23 years old, just a baby, and began a long healing journey. I did a cross-country road trip. So just leaving, the act of packing up my things was incredibly powerful in a way that I rediscovered some of my own strength after feeling like I had none left. And it took 7 years to really unpack the trauma that occurred in my marriage. It took writing a whole book about it. So I've written a memoir about my divorce, about my healing journey. And I talk a lot about the things that helped me finally heal. So some of the modalities I experience include EMDR therapy, so traditional therapy, also indigenous shamanism, working with plant medicine has been incredibly healing. Yoga, discovering yoga and meditation and mindfulness and starting a spiritual journey. And lastly, my divorce ritual. So it was about 7 years to the day after I was married that I decided to call my power back and really close out that chapter of my life by holding a ritual on the same beach where I got married. And that experience was profound. It was just me and my parents, and I burned the ashes that my husband, or the vows that my husband and I had exchanged. And I integrated the lessons of the experience and was able to find gratitude and freedom and forgiveness. And after that, any triggers around my wedding, around my marriage, they really went away. So I really credit that divorce ritual with kind of being this culminating peak on the experience of my healing journey. And so I think I'll leave it there. I know that's a lot in a short amount of time, but I really believe in the power of ritual to help cement our healing. Thank you.
Wow, you are like a cat who has already lived 9 lives. What an incredible story.
Thank you. Thank you, Gertrude.
Wow. Now, can you describe in detail this ritual that you created and why it felt so powerful?
Yeah, it's a great question. I was really inspired by a teacher I had who found herself in an abusive relationship and ended it and shaved her head as an act of taking her power back. And so that was where I first came up with the idea of something tangible to really close out a cycle. And so it felt really fitting to go back to the beach where I was married because every time I would drive by there, I felt like triggered, like it was very painful in my body and in my mind still. And so I did 21 days of Ho'oponopono, which is a Hawaiian healing practice. It's a process of going through 4 mantras. Thank you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. I love you. And so by the time the ritual came around, I felt so much peace already, having done that preparation. And so the ritual itself just felt like this beautiful homecoming. So it was at sunset at the beach, and it was just me and my parents, who are incredible and have supported me every step of this wild journey. And I had written new vows to myself. So after I burned the vows that my husband and I exchanged, I called my power back through these new vows. And I thanked my ancestors and my parents and all those who helped me heal, and including my ex-husband, who was a very great teacher, actually. And was able to release the ashes to the water as the sun set. And later that night, I ended up burning all of the long distance letters that my husband had ever exchanged. And so it felt like any lingering energy that was there was released. And I felt so much lighter and freer and clearer. It was really incredible.
It's interesting. In Africa, we have a ritual where if someone close to you dies, you shave off all your hair. So I lost my mom during COVID,
I'm sorry.
and I couldn't go back to Zimbabwe for her funeral.
Mm.
And just the depression and the sadness I felt on that day. And I used to see people at funerals with bald heads, and I never understood what it meant.
Mm.
I woke up that morning and shaved off all my hair, and it gives you, it's like you want something in the world to change. And the only thing you can change is on your person.
Yeah.
And it's like you're starting a whole new slate, a whole new chapter in your life. So I can really understand how powerful those kind of rituals are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What role has spirituality played in your healing work?
Oh, huge. It's been everything, to be honest. So I stumbled into my first yoga class when I was in the middle of that divorce. And I was a very, I would say, wounded person at that time, and no self-confidence, very low self-worth. And making my way through a yoga class made me realize, oh, I'm strong. I can be strong in my body. I can cry here. I can be safe on this yoga mat. And it was the only place that felt safe in my entire life. When everything was falling apart around me, the studio was like a church, like a sacred place. And so that began a love for yoga. And I did a yoga teacher training, but it was a spiritual training. So that was the first time in my life where I was hearing about these concepts that were so foreign to me, right? Growing up very conservative Christian. And it blew my mind wide open. It was the first time I asked, well, why do I believe what I believe? Which is such an important question. And it changed my life, deciding what felt true for me, truly, and how I experience God on my own versus how people told me I should experience God. And it's evolved into this beautiful, nourishing spirituality that I would say is the cornerstone of my life. So that's been a beautiful journey, and probably one of the most deeply transformative journeys that I've taken is the spiritual one.
Now, you've been a bit of a nomad your whole life. You know, some people love just to stay where they were born, they don't move, they don't go anywhere. But getting on the road sounds like the easiest thing you do. What has this taught you about yourself, your van journey with your husband right now?
Oh, so much. That's such a beautiful question. Thank you. And I love to talk about this lifestyle because it really helped me clear out so much programming that I didn't even realize I had. I was working 3 jobs. I was exhausted. It was unsustainable. I had a closet full of clothes that I never wore. I was just caught up in this culture of consumerism and of work hard and careers everything. And it really wasn't like an alignment at all. I was miserable. And
Yeah.
so leaving all of that behind, I really had to confront this story that I had around I get my value from working, from, I get my identity from my job, or
Yes.
um, even giving away all my belongings. Like becoming a minimalist was deeply healing because I realized how little we need. Like we need so little. It's incredible. And really living a simpler life has made me so much happier and freer. And I think that's what I fell in love with and why I keep living this way, because there's so much freedom. I don't feel constrained. I don't feel stuck. Tomorrow I could get up and fly to you if I wanted. I mean, that's just incredible. So it's been so healing. And it finally gave me the space and time in my life to write my book, which is something I dreamed about for years.
Yeah, and it's amazing how we collect stuff, right? When you're static and you're, say, living in a house, we buy more clothes than we need. We collect things, we put things on shelves that you never even look at or touch. And yet your lifestyle you've chosen now, it's portable, it's light. It's almost like you don't carry any baggage with you in a physical sense as well.
Mhm. Yeah, that's what it
Emotional. It's
feels
quite
like.
interesting.
Yeah.
So, what is the core message that you hope women will take from your book?
Mm. I truly believe that the healing journey is one of the most important ones we can ever take, because it's not just for us. Like, of course, we do it to find peace or freedom, or forgiveness, right? And to not be a victim of the past or of situations we've lived through,
Yeah.
but to really find radical freedom. And oof, I think we don't just do it for ourselves, but we do it for the world, right? We do it for the people around us, because if we're wounded, then unintentionally we're wounding others, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
healing the world, or making a difference in the world, I really believe begins at the personal level, and
Hmm.
then starts this ripple change that affects everyone we can come into contact with once we've done that inner work.
Yeah. There's is it a quote that I read in a book that says, "Peace begins with me."
I love that.
So that ripple effect, it really starts with you
Yeah,
getting centered.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And your TED Talk, your first one, is so beautiful, Gertrude, because you talk about being a channel, and that's not so much what you do, but it's who you are, right? It's a state of being. And I think
Yeah.
the state of being that we can be can have the most profound change, right? By showing what's possible to live in peace, to live in forgiveness, to live in harmony. I think we're so hungry for that.
That's true. So, why do you think divorce still carries so much shame, especially for women?
Yeah, I think it's seen as a failure. It certainly was for me. And that's why I stayed in a harmful situation far longer than I should have.
Yeah.
Um, and I was also really young, and that was really hard. How was I supposed to go on a date at 25 and tell someone I'd already been married for 2 years? Like, I had a lot of shame. And so what happened is I just didn't share. I didn't talk about my marriage. Nobody knew I was married for several years, very few people, I should say. And I
Right.
realized that it was owning me, right? Keeping that deep down,
Mm.
that shame. And it was really nothing to be shamed about. Like, I mean,
And when
why?
you look at how old you were when you got married, like you said, you were just a baby. Who knows what they're doing at 21?
Nobody. It's definitely
Oh,
not me. Definitely not. But um, I think I learned so much from my divorce, from my marriage about what love is and what
mm,
it should feel like and what partnership is. And so to
yes.
have found that again and be married this time to a partner who is safe and respectful and has done the inner work and has so much integrity, that alone has also been deeply healing and freeing.
It's so beautiful that you found each other.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So, can you walk us through how you guide others through grief or transition?
Hmm. Yeah, I would. Oh, that's a big question. I would say it depends where we're at. So, I do personal work with clients. I do intuitive readings. I do Reiki healing, and I'm also a yoga instructor. And
Okay.
so, I love working one on one with people. I find that that's the most intimate and can be really vulnerable. And I
Mm,
think what I've seen be the biggest piece for clients that I've been honored to work with is just being witnessed and being seen. And so having someone see us, in our heartache, in our pain, it
yeah.
transforms it because we don't feel so alone anymore.
Mm,
And we also get to know like we're not alone in this, and I'm not the only one who's been through this. Like
yeah.
there's so many women, right, that I can count on or lean on, and so much wisdom, collective wisdom in the
Mm,
feminine experience. And so I think just the gift of seeing and being seen is one of the biggest things we can do for one another. And hopefully through my writing, it's my deepest prayer that my book serves women wherever they are on their healing journey, and
mm.
that it inspires them to go even deeper on their own internal journey.
So, what daily practices helped you during your most difficult moments?
Oh, I was in such a dark place going through my divorce. I
Mm,
didn't have tools. I didn't have a solid foundation. Thank goodness what I did have was people that loved me. Because if
okay.
not for that, I really don't think I would have survived that time in my life. Uh,
Mm,
it was very dark, and I hadn't yet started a spiritual journey or a healing journey where I had, the tools or knew about nervous system regulation or trauma that gets stored in our body. Like I just didn't know these things. It was a long time ago. And I also didn't know how dysfunctional I was, right? And my own patterns and behaviors that were deeply,
yes.
deeply damaging. And so I just survived it. Like, really, thank goodness for the people around me, because alone I wouldn't have come through that. But with a few people that saw me, like I was talking about, and loved
Wow.
me, regardless of my choices or my, perceived mistakes, that really did save my life.
And it sounds to me like your parents have been there for you every single step of the way.
Yeah, they have. They were I moved in with them actually. So after I did that road trip, the
Yeah.
kicker is they lived on a sailboat. So I had to move in with them on their sailboat. So we were very intimate roommates for about 6 months. But coming from a big family, I never had so much one-on-one time with my parents. And so
Okay.
actually, it was deeply nourishing and deeply healing that time that we got together. And it's so interesting because I was an adult, but it was really also ministering to my child, like inner
Yeah.
child that time. And it really bonded us in a way that I'll always have now, which is so sweet.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
So, what has surprised you the most about the healing process?
Oh, that's such a good question. I would love to know your answer. What has surprised me the most? I think what surprised me the most is how beautiful life has turned out to be. I
Mm.
had no concept of how good like love could be, of how good it could feel, and also of myself. Like, I'm really proud of the woman that I've become because I've really fought hard to become her. And I didn't know that the life after would be far more glorious than anything I could have planned or controlled or imagined.
I love it. So, how can listeners connect with your meditations and healing circles?
Yes, yeah, thank you. So I have a website. It's shejourneys.us. Thank you for linking it. And so I offer intuitive readings, I do Reiki energy healing, and I also have meditations on Insight Timer, which is a free app. It's amazing. You can find teachers all over the world and meditate with them or enjoy beautiful music. There's so many resources on there. And my book, She Journeys, is coming out in September. So that's a very intimate, raw portrayal of my marriage, my divorce, and then all the things that helped me heal along the way. And I'm so excited to be sharing it with the world.
That is awesome.
Thank
Now, my
you.
last two questions are a bit of a thought experiment, and I love asking all my guests these two questions. In the first one, I'm going to teleport you into the past, to that young woman who was going through a divorce, is confused, is lost, can't see the wood from the trees. If you could go back and give her three nuggets of wisdom
Mm.
based on what life has taught you up until this point, what would those three nuggets of wisdom be?
You have what it takes. You are so lovable, and it's all worth it.
Fantastic.
Mm.
Last question is going to be futuristic this time. And I'm going to teleport you into the future. We're going to go and sit with a 90-year-old you. And she's sitting in her rocking chair, or maybe she's on a dance floor or in a new van that she's just refurbished and traveling to some other part of the world. If I could take you to meet this crazy, wise woman who has led you up until this point, what will you say to her when you finally meet her?
She would say, I'm so proud of you and welcome home.
I love it. I love asking that last question because a lot of women don't realize that the wise woman already lives. She already exists inside us.
Mm.
She is that quiet voice that tells you to leave, that tells you to go left, go right, make that move. But a lot of us don't listen to her. We look outside of ourselves for answers and solutions. So I like to share a little game that I play where I tap into the essence of who I am becoming. And I'm in conversation with her every single day. When I get stuck, I will do my meditation, my prayers before I go to sleep. And I'll ask a simple question like, what is the next step? And I sleep on that. And
Mm.
when I wake up in the morning, maybe I'm in the shower, I have those light bulb moments and it just drops from the ether into my consciousness. And I know exactly what I need to do to execute. Or I share with other people that I meet during the day and I tell them what I'm working on. And it's like a jigsaw puzzle. Each person will bring me a piece to this puzzle. And by
Mm.
the end of the week, it all falls together and I know exactly what I need to do next.
So
So
beautiful.
thank you for tuning into your wise woman at a very early age.
Mm.
Some women wait 10, 15, 30 years in marriages that aren't working.
Mm.
But you knew you had to get out when you did. And now you're empowering other women how to do the same.
Mm.
Thank you.
Thank Thank you so much, Gertrude. I really appreciate this time and space and what you've created here. Thank you so much.
And thank you to everybody who tuned in. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We are a social impact movement that brings you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, to inspire you, to energize you, but most importantly, to empower you with tools to take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. Today, we've brought a beautiful healer, an amazing soul who can help you on that journey. So don't do it the hard way. Reach out. We have a website at the bottom of the screen, shejourneys.us. Tap in, tune in, get the support you need on your journey. I'll be back again tomorrow, everybody, with yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and bye for now. And Sarah, thanks again for the interview.
Thank you so much.
Don't go away. Bye for now, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story.